Welcome back in, everybody. Welcome back in. It is the Sunday, so that is time for the Sunday 617. I feel like I've been out of the helm for a while. I'm kind of discombobulated. I'm not going to be lying with everybody. I'm kind of all over the place. Today seems kind of weird. Seems like a weird Sunday. Seems like a weird Sunday. Is everybody having that feeling? I don't know. I can't get it together today. I'm all over the place. I don't know. Maybe it's just something in the air. But listen, we're back here in the not so great state of Massachusetts. We're going to talk about a bunch of cases here today and highlight them of some things that are going on and really ask the question, is Massachusetts the police state? Obviously, we see everything that's gone on in Karen Reed's case over the last almost 4 years. And now we're supporting Turtle Boy in his fight for free speech. And we're going to get into a lot of different things here today. I don't know. I just seem like kind of out of it today. I can't get it going, but maybe I can bring someone in that can help me today. I have Jason Broyles, not Haley Walbrecht, jumping in with me today. Jason, what's going on, buddy?
Good morning. I'm happy to be in the 617 from the 860 today. I guess that's what we're
Well,
doing.
we're going to be talking about the 860 today. We had a major situation just a few days ago with the Long Island auditor, Sean Paul Reyes. And we'll get to that later in the show, but I just want to touch on it. I've been following Sean for quite a while. I love his YouTube channels, and if anybody's not familiar with him, he's a First Amendment auditor, and he goes in and actually, gets down to the law with places that don't really know the laws and think they know the laws of the state, and he challenges them and gets results. I think that he's doing really great work to put our police and law enforcement officers in check. And that's really going to be the theme of today's show, of putting things in check and calling out accountability and transparency. But Sean did some great work the other day, some fucking scary work, I can say. And we'll see that later on in the show, where a state trooper actually pulled a pistol on him. I don't know, Jason, what's the buzz in and around Connecticut? Is it buzzing about this? I know, I've seen a bunch of videos on YouTube dropping about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Sean, there definitely is a buzz about it. He's getting local media coverage, which is good because they don't always cover these kind of cases. They're First Amendment auditors. I know that they're a lot of times the media, we've talked about this before, right? A lot of times the media are afraid to challenge the police or to get involved because they want to keep getting those press releases from and special access to the press conferences and the interviews with the, police spokesperson and all of these things that they're kind of threatened with if they don't play ball. But he is getting good media coverage, and he has several. If you go back across his channel, he's in Connecticut a whole bunch of times. He had a lawsuit with the city of Danbury. There's all kinds of other things happening. So he's building up a little bit of a name for himself. And early on, it was mostly people calling him a troublemaker. And now, as he's been around longer and doing things and staying there, he's gaining a bit of popularity here in Connecticut. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this shakes out.
Yeah, he actually goes around the country, and I think that he helps train officers and does kind of these seminars, and he trains officers in First Amendment, rights and free speech. And, obviously we're seeing the collapse of that here in Massachusetts, particularly to Aidan Carney, where, he's gone out and just asked questions just like Sean and has been arrested, and not to the sense of being, threatened with a pistol like Sean. But is it ever, is that the next step here in Massachusetts, that if you're an independent journalist and it doesn't say ABC News or NBC News, we get attacked for going up and asking questions? I mean, is that what it's coming to now?
I mean, that's the right question to ask, right? So this is the bottom line is you have great people like attorneys like Mark Randazza and the Liberty Center, Mark Trammell, and you have these people that are out there fighting for our First Amendment rights every day. And Massachusetts is constantly, over and over again, seems to be the foreground of where these battles are happening. Like, it's happening there. So First Amendment rights are constantly under attack in Massachusetts. We have cases here in Connecticut that are outrageous, where they try to file charges against somebody because they yelled something at a passerby that was not harassment, not these things. But we really need to defend the First Amendment. And that's kind of what the heart of our independent media movement is all about, which is really like, A, we're bringing you the news that the mainstream media won't cover. And B, like, we have the right to do this. And this is free speech. And it's time for the government to sit down and understand that the order that it works in, that they're here to serve us and not the other way around.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's get into this first story here. This was just a couple of days ago, and I want to bring some attention to it. And I wrote about this on Facebook. So, ex-Massachusetts State Police trooper pleads guilty to crash that killed motorcyclists. Says, quote, a few extremely bad decisions ended one life and impacted so many others. And it goes on to say a former Massachusetts State Police trooper accused of leaning over and kissing his girlfriend while driving on I-93, swerving and causing a crash that killed motorcyclists, has pled guilty. Christopher Carr, 29, has pled guilty to motor vehicle homicide in a 2021 crash that killed a 51-year-old Winthrop man, Christopher Zeich. Carr was sentenced to 2.5 years in the House of Correction with 18 months to serve and the balance suspended for 3 years. The judge also orders substance abuse evaluation with any necessary follow-up treatment under the state law. Carr's driver's license will be suspended for 15 years. So back on October 29th, 2021, state police received a 911 call around 1:25 a.m. for a crash on I-93 in Boston. A SUV and motorcyclist had crashed. Responding troopers found Carr. The driver of the SUV rendered aid to the motorcyclist, and that was later identified as Zeich. And I wrote about this on my Facebook page, and I just want to read this to everybody because this is what it's becoming. This is what it's come to in Massachusetts. This week, former Massachusetts State Trooper Christopher Carr pled guilty to a crash that killed 50-year-old motorcyclist John Bishop. Carr had been drinking. He crossed the center line. He killed a man, and for that, he was sentenced to 18 months behind bars. The rest of his 2.5 year sentence suspended. No felony on his record, no prison, just county jail time, probation, and a license suspension. Let's just be clear. John Bishop doesn't get probation. He doesn't get a suspended sentence. His family doesn't get luxury of reduced consequences. They get a life sentence of grief. So the question we all need to be asking is, why does this keep happening in Massachusetts? Why do we keep seeing officers, troopers, and others tied to law enforcement get deals that the average person would never dream of? Is this a state of police accountability in our Commonwealth? Is justice now negotiable if you wear a badge? We need to talk about public trust and transparency, about rebuilding faith in the system, but how we're supposed to believe in the system that outcomes feels predetermined. When a plea deal reduces a fatal DUI to a slap on the wrist because the defendant just wore a uniform, and what does that tell our future officers? That if you mess up, even catastrophically, the system will protect you. The sentence isn't blind; it just turns the other way, and one is on their own. John Bishop's life mattered. His death deserved a full measure of justice, and right now, many are wondering if he got any close to that. We just have to keep asking the questions, because if we don't, no one else will. This is what it's become, Jason. If you wear a badge, you have a gun, you get reduced sentences if you kill someone. DUI.
Yeah, so I just want to comment first. I really, really like the way you closed that post out. We have to keep asking the questions, because if we don't, no one else will, because that fits the whole theme of our talking about independent media. But this case, the most remarkable thing to me is that it took longer to prosecute this case from 2021 all the way through now. It took longer to prosecute this case and get to the thing than the person will ultimately serve. So we have this kind of disconnect where we have this system that already is painfully and hopelessly inefficient. And on top of it, it's hopefully, hopelessly biased toward the police. So you end up with this weird dichotomy of victims aren't getting justice in Massachusetts. And as much as we, the public, want to see, this trooper should have equal treatment and he should do this, the real people left out of the equation here are the victims and his family, who have to look at this absolute mockery and accept it as some form of what they're going to get closure over this. There's some finality. No, they're going to know that. I'm shocked with the way the MSP is going that they didn't actually promote him instead of firing him and putting him on trial. But this is horrible for the victims. And that's what's really killing me about these stories as they come up and over and over again.
Yeah, we just get a pass. I mean, we can take it right back to Karen Reed. You know, Tully got a pass. Buchanan got a pass. Oh, they got transferred. They lost some vacation time. Proctor becomes the fall guy. He gets fired. But now we hear that he's back in a hearing commission board, that he's trying to fight to get his job back. You know, I'm scared if that guy is able to come back and join the force. I don't think he ever will. But if that happens, I'm frightened. And the thing is that it turned over that leaf. You know, it pulled back that curtain. What I like to say in The Wizard of Oz, where we finally got to see who the wizard really was. We finally got to see who Michael Proctor was. We finally got to see what goes on behind the veil that covers the Mass State Police in having text conversations like that. Because I'm going to tell you, Jason, it's not only Karen Reed. It's not only Proctor and Karen Reed. I'm sure they're all talking like that. And that's some pretty fucking scary stuff.
Yeah, it sure is. And you know what? It's not the words, right? The words are whatever. I talk to my friends. You know, I'm a guy. I talk to my friends. We make some off-color comments and our things, usually about each other, I might add. But at the end of the day, it's just at a minimum, it just signifies this complete lack of seriousness with which they approach these topics. These people are investigating a damn murder. Like, this isn't, or, you know, and for them to just be so nonchalant about not being unprofessional and doing these things, it's like, we're not even on every level, on every single level. This is an insult to the taxpayers. It's an insult to victims, and they just run along, and it's almost as if they only exist to sit there and just push things down the road until a police officer is in danger of some legal jeopardy, and then they spring into action to make sure that never happens, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy, you know, and I'm kind of like, and I hate to say this, like, I hate to use it as an example, but I think I'm kind of, I don't want to say this. I'm trying to word it correctly. Thank God for Karen Reed's fight. Thank God that she fought, because if she didn't fight and she just folded and took the plea deal and went away, we never would have got the level of exposure that we've seen of things that have gone wrong. And believe me, the Mass State Police has had a very checkered past of scandals, but I think this blew it open a little wider because it's things that happened during investigation. We heard about like the CDL scandal. Yep, it's a CDL scandal, but it wasn't involving, you know, it wasn't involving a victim like John O'Keefe. It wasn't involving a victim like Karen Reed. We heard about the scandals at the Mass State Police, and we're going to talk about one here in a second with, Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia. But we heard about all of those things, and, you know, they might make a headline. We hear a flash in the pan about it. A couple people might go away. Union rep gets buried. But this now, because of those close connections with John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, Aidan Carney, involving all of those same officers, it's kind of blown the door wide open. And, you know, this is where I sit here and say, and I laughed about it the other day, where the Mass State Police now has launched this program, and forgive me, I forget the name of it, but, you know, it's to basically, the program is to instill public trust back in our police, you know, our system. And, you know, we're going to do better at the academy. We're going to do better in our communities. Listen, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. I want action. If you're going to prove that, and you want to prove that, then all of these people that were involved in this whole corrupt investigation, pinning it on Karen Reed, they should all be gone. They should all be gone.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm glad you brought up Aiden's case there, because I feel the same way, you know, like, thank God that he didn't, that he's not, that I think they even offered him a plea, but thank God that he's standing up and that he's fighting and that he's doing it vocally, and that we're able to actually see, you know, what's really happening behind the scenes. Because the bottom line is none of us want him. I don't want him to go to trial. I don't want him to go to trial. I don't want him to have to be acquitted. I don't want any of that. I want the Commonwealth to stop fucking around, frankly. I want them to stop, and I want them to withdraw the charges, and I want them to hold people accountable in their ranks. But if we didn't have him standing up and calling this out and have his great attorneys out there doing press conferences, standing up in court and making these arguments where we can all see like, wow, look at all of this for everything we saw in the Karen Reed case. Look at all of this also happening in Turtle Boy's case. It's the same thing. They're literally framing him. And so when you see all of that, you start to say, you know, it really is. If we didn't have this, they would do it again tomorrow and the next day and the day after. And at least for those cops, like maybe we've had enough of an intervention that those cops aren't going to be doing this again, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. You know, it's so weird that this happened this morning. As I was setting up the show and getting all my tabs ready and my notes and all that stuff, Aiden's intake video came across like in my algorithm. And I had watched it a long time ago before. That was in 2023. He was arrested. And, you know, they talked about seizing his phones and having, you know, it was the whole witness intimidation charges. And he's in the barracks in Holden, and he's asking them like, look, you know, you're essentially going to look through my phones. You know, you're going to look through both of my phones, and I have sensitive information in there. I have, you know, personal pictures that I don't want people to see. And he goes, how are you going to do that? And I think it was Tully that was talking to him. And he said, well, if it's not pertinent to the dates that we're asking about, we're just going to skip through it. You're still going through his shit. Like you're still looking through his shit. And that was the sole purpose of that arrest. I think just all that bullshit with the witness intimidation and all that shit, it was to get inside his fucking phones to see if, was he talking to Karen? Was he having these conversations? Who was he talking to? That was the purpose of it. Because bullshit, you're going to tell me that you're only looking at certain photos. How are you even going to get to that? How are you even looking through all of his phones? It didn't make sense. He knew it didn't make sense, and he knew it was bullshit too.
It's true. And frankly, we already know from Proctor's text, they're not just looking through what they're supposed to be. They were looking for nudes in his phone or her phone, I'm sorry. And they who knows, they were probably looking for nudes in his phone too.
Probably.
Because the bottom line is, you know, as funny as it sounds like I'm making a joke, but the problem is they also have all this material. We see all this stuff. We keep hearing things from Kate Peter that are leaking back from the district attorney's office and doing this. What's to say they're not going to provide information from his phone to her to help her do what she's doing? It's this whole ridiculous thing that's all thrown together where you have the police working with criminals and miscreants who are out there obsessively following somebody for 5 years and trying to take them down and doing all of these things. And like, we're living in opposite world. Like something different needs to happen. And I know the state police colonel says that that's the plan and that they're going to do this and look at it. I don't have a lot of faith.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
You're waiting. We're all waiting. Let me just get to this real quick. Obscure Destination Outdoors, $5. Thank you. Says they say it's only a few bad cops, but if that was true, then the good cops would oust the bad ones. It's very true. That thick blue wall that we heard about, obviously with Devers, Farouk Assault. I mean, that was a pure example during the Karen Reed trial, the retrial, watching her on the stand, and then literally Alan Jackson having to ask her, do you want to be here today? She didn't want to be there. She wanted to keep her mouth shut. She didn't want to help the defense team, because the bottom line is it comes down to the thick blue wall. I'm here to protect my sisters and brothers. The conversation, do the right thing. I mean, we know about it. We've been talking about it.
I do want to comment on that real fast too, though, because one of the things we talked about when you and I interviewed Paula Prado is that sometimes it's really hard for them to do the right thing. Especially, we know that in some of these cases, some of these cops are dangerous. We hear about the Brian Albert attacking other cops, and you know, he's a boxer, and you know, most people who get in a fight with a boxer, they're actually in danger during that fight. It's not just oh, somebody slapped you in the face when you walked by. There are, he did MMA and was a boxer, and he has these fighting skills that are maybe enhanced. Or maybe they're in danger of having backup not show up in time on their next call because they're going to slow roll it because they're trying to punish the person for speaking out.
Yeah.
So I do know a lot of cops. So there are good cops who may not speak up publicly or go and talk to internal affairs, the rat squad, or do any of these things. But those cops are also the kind of people that become sources for people like us and for people like Aiden Carney. So one of the reasons he didn't want them to look through his phone was how many police sources he had in his phone.
It's true. It's very, very true.
So you can't always judge a book by its cover in terms of saying, I appreciate the argument of, well, if they were good cops, they would oust the bad cops. Well, a lot of times they do, and you may just not know that they were the ones that did it. So justice has a way of coming around, and good people have a way of rising to the occasion, even if they can't necessarily do it publicly. So I guess I would just say it's not quite as black and white of an issue.
Very good points, Jason. Very good points. All right, let's move on to Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia. I want to do a little bit of an update for everybody. I want to set some information straight in that I haven't talked about this in a while because there just hasn't been a lot of information. But we do know over the last couple of weeks, we've been hearing that the grand jury has been convening since April. Since April, they've had meetings in Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia's case. And I just want to read this to everybody and just set the record straight. And then we'll talk a little bit about it here. Let me just do this. I need to stop saying, I'm out of it today, Jason. I don't know. I'm just not on my game today. I'm not feels weird today. Something feels weird. But anyway, let's go on to this here. The death of Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia, a young man just 25 years old who dreamed of serving the public, a man who died during what was supposed to be a controlled training exercise at the Massachusetts State Police Academy. This story isn't just about one tragic death. It's about transparency, accountability, and whether the institution sworn to protect us and protect their own, even in death. On September 12th, 2024, Delgado-Garcia was participating in a full contact defensive tactics boxing drill at the State Police Academy in New Braintree. He was struck during the match and lost conscious. He never woke up. First point, I want to make sure that people understand that is true. That is true. That is what went on in his death. I've talked to so many people since all of this happened. I've clarified so many things. I have very, very, very trusted sources that have come forward to me and told me about all of this. Let me just read on here. Despite life-saving efforts, he died the next day, September 13th, from devastating injuries, including brain trauma, a broken neck, facial fractures, and it was just weeks before his planned graduation. In an emotional gesture, he was sworn in just before he died as a Massachusetts State Police trooper on his deathbed. Governor Maura Healey ordered flags at half-stack and called his death a devastating loss. But as days passed, questions started to pile up. What kind of training was this? Why was someone like Enrique, a new recruit, put in such a dangerous situation doing a dangerous drill? And why is this taking months for real answers? Soon, civil rights group and police reform advocates started speaking out. The ACLU of Massachusetts and Lawyers for Civil Rights raised red flags, suggesting racial bias, hazing, culture of silence that many have played a role. Enrique, they noted, was one of only 100 of Latino recruits. I can say, with the information that I know, Jason, that it is not any of that. It is not any of that. Public pressure mounted. Protesters appeared at his funeral demanding accountability. The economy paused full contact boxing, but there was silence from the state police. It's been deafening. On September 23rd, 2024, under mounting pressure, Attorney General Andrew Campbell appointed David Meyer, a respected former prosecutor, to lead an independent investigation. He was granted full authority to investigate potential criminal wrongdoing, including the power to subpoena witnesses and dig into the culture at the academy itself. A separate internal audit was launched through the International Association of Chief of Police. Full contact boxing was suspended, the academy leadership began making internal changes. Still, the public and Enrique's family have been left in the dark. By mid-2025, we finally learned that a grand jury has been convened. Witnesses, including fellow troopers and academy staff, were testifying behind closed doors. But here's the kicker. The full autopsy report still sealed. And I want to put this to rest. There's been rumors of an aneurysm. We cannot confirm that. The family has confirmed that he had no prior medical issues. And I just want to put that to bed because we truly don't know. One, medical examiner's report is still not concluded and it's still sealed. And the family hasn't even got any of those records. And it's still under an active investigation. So I want to put that rumor to rest. Okay. The video of the training incident has not been released, and exit interviews from past recruits hidden behind $176,000 public records fee. Let that sink in. What is Massachusetts State Police trying to hide? This is about more than just one recruit. It's about the culture. It's about whether young men and women, especially those from marginalized communities, can trust the institutions that claim to serve them. 10 months later, there's still no public report, no criminal charges, no closure for Enrique's family. And that's the silence. It speaks volumes. We got to keep pressing. We have to keep asking questions because justice delayed is justice denied. And Enrique and Delgado-Garcia's story deserves better to be told and remembered. If you have any information, questions, or want to support independent investigations, you can reach out to me. Let me know. I know a lot about this case, Jason. A lot of people have come forward. I know what happened. I just have to be really careful about what I say. And the thing that I want to make sure that people understand this, yes, it's been 10 months. And let's just put this out there. What happens when you are in a union? Okay. What happens when you are part of an organization? Union reps and lawyers. When there are questions and something, certainly when someone dies and you are in around that death or that incident that caused a death, those are the entities that step in. That is what's caused the major delay in this investigation. Union reps and lawyers.
And I want to add to that. When we, the story that we opened with the vehicular manslaughter from the former state trooper that accident happened in 2021. And we're here in 2025, right? And the same things occur. And so everything gets slowed down. There's a delay. The system's horribly inefficient. Again, that's why I'm saying, even in that, when we brought up that story, I said that's horrible for the victims and the people that were just in the top right-hand photo in your thing. Like they're the ones that are paying the price for this. I understand that they should do a thorough investigation. I understand that they should get to the bottom of what happened and leave no stone unturned in uncovering this. But let's just how long is enough to do that? Is it 10 months? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Because here in this other case, we finally get to the end of this process 4 years later. Something has to be done. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm certain that given that you know what happened, I'm certain that they already know what happened. So let's move the ball along.
It's pretty cut and dry. And it's not a gang beating. He wasn't jumped. This happened during a boxing training exercise. And now, who was accountable for it? Who was accountable?
And I have to say, so I see, I never pay attention to the chat, and today I'm obsessed. Like, I'm reading the chat as it's coming by. And Obscure Destinations Outdoors, first of all, Semper Fi and Ura, and I really appreciate your service, and I take your points well on the topic of police accountability. But the reason that I'm bringing this back into the chat for a minute is that that account can probably tell you, I was also in the Marine Corps, and at Paris Island, we had a 4 foot by 4 foot trench dug, and they would put you in there and you'd face a recruit from another platoon and you're facing each other. And at some point they say, go, and then you just have to start punching, and you there's nowhere you can go. You're in this little things. And over the years, the training has evolved, right? Over the years, they've found ways to still teach hand-to-hand combat skills, but do it in a way that is less potentially damaging to the recruits in the process. I can't understand why we've learned this lesson over and over and over again, and years later, the Mass State Police is still doing this in the worst possible way. And when it comes to safety of the people that they're trying to train, I watched the UFC last night, like I do whenever there's a pretty good one on, and those organizations take safety so seriously, down to the gloves and to all of these things. Like, why aren't we doing this for our state troopers? Why aren't we taking their safety seriously? Why, the goal is not entertainment like in the UFC, where you have people and they take it more seriously. The goal is not to the victor go the spoils, and someone's going to win and someone's going to lose, and we're betting on it, and we have all of these things happen. The goal is to train these troopers and how to be able to defend themselves and respond in the field in a situation. And instead we treat it like it's some kind of medieval sporting event, and it's wrong. It's wrong. They need to look out for those people, and they're not.
Yeah, and I agree. And I'm going to be very, very critical here. I'm going to be very, very critical. And this is not any offense to the family, but their attorney, Louis Alois, he sucks. He sucks. You suck. You suck as an attorney. 10 months and you can't get any answers for this family. You haven't talked about pressing a civil suit to get things moving. You haven't been out there publicly speaking for the family. You suck. You absolutely suck. And I wish Tim Bradle had this. I wish David Yannetti had this case, because that they would be out there talking about this. They would be demanding answers. I'm tired of the bullshit and sitting back and waiting, okay? This was a young man that was killed in a trusted facility under the watch of a trusted organization. He wanted to go in and give back to his community. And I'm telling you, what I've learned about Enrique, the guy was an amazing person, a heart of gold, huge heart, just wanted to go in, better his life, be a productive member of a state trooper, maybe help change some of that culture. Like the great Todd McGee, when Todd McGee was in the Mass State Police for 24 years, we've heard it on this channel. He called out bullshit when it was bullshit. And maybe we would have gotten that with Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia. But I'm pissed. 10 months and this fucking attorney can't get any answers. And again, I'm not saying this out of any disrespect to the family. This is my opinion, but you suck. And I don't know. I'd be looking for a new attorney.
It's actually funny that you say this, and Adam has a comment in chat right now. I don't know if you want to see it.
Sure.
But too many lawyers only care about money and don't actually care what they're fighting for. This is a great point. So you brought up Yannetti and you brought up Bradle, and you have these people, but it's almost like the cops, right? Like, so you have this situation with the cops. The system protects the system, and you have these cops protecting each other, but they didn't care about John O'Keefe, and they should have, right? They cared about Brian Albert because they picked the cop that lived. You have this scenario where, they should care. They should be the ones that are the most offended about getting answers for Enrique Delgado-Garcia. But if it comes at the cost of holding some other cop accountable, it seems like the cop that lives always wins. So the cop that survived the encounter is the one that they're gonna short shrift, and they're not gonna give the attention to, so that they can cover the other. Like, it's ridiculous. It needs to end. And lawyers are no different. I agree. Most lawyers are in that clique. It's like politicians when they argue on the floor and then they go sit in the cloakroom together and have a drink and laugh about it. That's how this is, this lawyer clique that happens here. And no one wants to rock the boat. You end up with lawyers like Cosgrove, like former Judge Robert Cosgrove, who comes back, the system can do no wrong. There couldn't have been any corruption. We're doing these things. What you see is it's a corrupt old fool who's been corrupt all of the years. When he was a lawyer and then when he was a judge, he stayed in there. He didn't rock the boat. He did everything he could do not to draw attention to yourself. I'm going to go back and adopt obscure destinations point here, which is like, those people should have stood up all along the way when they had the chance. They should have been in it for justice. Instead, keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, protect the system, and over and over and over again at every level, the cops, the lawyers. This is what we see. It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, I sit here and go, as the attorney, what are you telling the family? Oh, well, we just have to wait. We'll just wait for answers. Like, no. We've even seen the family on multiple times over the last 10 months getting out on, WBZ and talking publicly about this. Like, we're waiting. We want answers. Well, turn to your representative and say, what the fuck are you doing? Are you helping us? So I would have loved to see Tim Bradel. I would have loved to see David Yannetti, any other Massachusetts lawyer take up this case and really fight for this family, because it's been a shame. And I'll put this out there too. If it's a problem of raising money, start a GoFundMe and drop the link to me. I will push and get you the money to retain a better lawyer. I have no problem doing that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know we have the community that could do it. I know I have the community that would. I mean, we just did it. We just did it, a couple of days ago here on LTL, where we did the Turtle Boy fundraiser. We raised over $6,000 in just under three hours for Aiden. So I know we can crowdfund that money probably in a day.
It's funny. It's funny, but who should be? If we did that, who should be the biggest person promoting it? It should be DA Joe Early, right?
Yeah,
the DA who Enrique worked for in his office, right? So
didn't want any part of it. Didn't want any. Right. I don't want a part of it.
So, right, but okay, well then, you know what? Help us crowdfund for him to get an attorney, make pronouncements, have somebody in your office volunteer to represent them, or fight, you know what I mean? There are all these things. The people that want the people that should want the answers don't, and that's always where I get suspicious.
Yeah, it's just a tragic story, and it need the one caveat I think in all of this is that information has gone to the grand jury, so they are looking at this. But let's get this family some answers. 10 months. 10 months. 10 months. Let's start seeing some real action here and see some real overhaul. Like they say, oh, we're, Colonel Noble, he's here to overhaul the Mass State Police. Well, let's see it. Let's see real change. Let's see a real change. Let's start building back trust in this community, which I don't think is ever going to happen, given a la the Karen Reed case and Aiden's case. I just
and see it. I know, and look at every time they post. Every time the Mass State Police tries to post, they're inundated with comments. And I love that there's this natural flow, because it's not just Karen Reed people. It's comments about what happened to Enrique Delgado-Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
It's comments about what's the deal with Sandra Birchmore. Like, you're seeing this over and over and over again. And it's great. And Never Was in the chat just had a great comment. Why not the AG? Where is the AG? In the Just on Route case, the AG was his city councilor and had a similar issue with her own brother. And so she would talk to Jen Root prior to becoming the AG and have all of these things. Guess who would no longer take her call as soon as she got elected?
As soon as she got elected. Nope. Can't have those conversations anymore. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Right. Where's the AG? This is literally what the Attorney General should be doing.
I agree. Let's talk about Sean Paul Reyes, the Long Island auditor. But before we do this, I just have to pause for my new sponsor. I'm going to play an ad here in a second. So I have partnered with the Star Drive-In for the next 3 months. They have sponsored Erica and her team here have sponsored me on the channel, and I'm going to play an ad spot here in a second. But please go out and visit the Star Drive-In, East Taunton. I'm sure a lot of you have been there. It's the retro hotspot. They have tons of ice cream. And if you go down and you can see there, if you just say LTL at the window, you'll get 10% off your order. Let me just pause here for my sponsor. We'll be right back. Need a break from modern life? We'll travel back in time to the Star Drive-In. That's East Taunton's iconic retro hotspot. Fun for the whole family. Enjoy great food, entertainment, and timeless memories. They got free community events all season long, including movies under the stars, live music and tailgating, Jeep meets classic car shows and bike nights. While you're there, indulge in over 100 flavors of soft serve 80 flavors of Bliss and Giffords hard ice cream, plus a rotating selection of 10 flavors of Dole Whip. The Star Drive-In is not your average fast food place. Everything is made fresh to order using quality ingredients. Fresh seafood is delivered daily, and pizza dough made twice a day for maximum freshness. I love their pizza. The Star Drive-In, where food, fun, and family memories never go out of style. They're conveniently located at 205 Myrick Street in East Taunton. That's exit 16 off Route 140. Make sure to visit their website or follow them on Facebook for their latest menus and upcoming events. And hey, while you're there, say hi to Erica and her team. And if you mention LTL at the register, you'll receive 10% off your entire purchase. That's the Star Drive-In in East Taunton. It's the most iconic retro hotspot. How'd I do, Jason?
You did good, and I was digging the music, and honestly, they had me at the Giffords ice cream, because I gotta tell you, like, that's the real deal. You know, it's the real deal.
Well, it's getting some attention. Everybody likes it. Everybody says, I love that spot. Please go say LTL at the window. Let Erica know that this spot is making a difference, and you'll get 10% off your order. I love the Star. Erica and her team are great. She did so many just unselfish fundraisers for Karen through the entire, like, almost 2 years of, really when this took off with Aiden's reporting back in May. I'm sorry, April 18th. And she's done so many things for Karen. And I've been part of a lot of the drives that she did over there and raised a ton of money for Karen. And she's just always someone that has been back kind of in the background, not really wanting the spotlight on her, but unselfishly did so many things. And it's such a great partnership that her and I have. So
Now, I want to say something about Erica too, because she's great. And when she supported Karen and started doing fundraisers and came out publicly, this was before there was a big public groundswell. She took such a risk with her business coming out and saying that, hey, no, this is wrong, and I believe in this. We're going to stand up for it. Most business owners would have sat on the fence, looked at the way that things went. She didn't. This lady truly believed in this cause, and she put her money where her mouth is. She stood up and hosted fundraisers. If you remember in the beginning, the antis were out of their mind.
Oh my God, they went out of their mind.
Because they're successful when they write letters to most businesses and say, you don't want to get involved in this, and this woman did this, and she's supporting a cop killer. And Erica was like, nope, I believe that Karen Reed is innocent, and I'm going to support her openly with my business. And I have tremendous respect for that she came out when it was risky and she didn't care,
Yeah. And she did. Yeah. She sold all those free Karen Reed signs too. So, please go visit Erica. She had a tough weekend over this last weekend with the extreme heat. She had some of her freezers went down, and let's try to recoup some of that business for her. So if you're in and around the area, East Taunton, please go visit the Star. You won't regret it. The food is amazing there. Again, just like the ad said, I love the pizza. And if you mention LTL, you'll get 10% off your next order, or your order that day. I'm sorry, your order that day. All right, let's talk about this, Jason. This has been making waves. I saw this. I was tweeting about it immediately on July 14th. Sean Paul Reyes, he's got a YouTube channel called The Long Island Auditor, and we talked about it at the beginning of the show. He does First Amendment audits and essentially teaches the laws. And he's done a very, very good job. I think he's close to almost 1 million subscribers on his channel. And he's kind of like Aiden in the sense, he's a little bit different, but tells some of those similar stories. And I want to actually commend Sean a lot for raising the level of awareness that went on in the Marcy Correctional Facilities with the killing and murder of Robert Brooks. And we've now, and I've been following that on my channel as well too, an inmate that was killed during a transfer from one facility to another. And ironically, these correctional officers, they wore body cameras that day, or they wear them in that facility, but didn't realize that 4 of them turned on. And the filming and murder of Robert Brooks by, I think, 9 or 10 Marcy Correctional Facility officers was recorded. There is no sound, but we can clearly see what happened on the video. And I've been following that. I think a couple of them are due back in court soon. And we've seen one take a plea deal so far. And there's going to be multiple ones that think they're going to fight this and get away with it. I don't see it's going to happen, but I want to commend Sean for that, for bringing that case to light. He went down there and challenged a lot of the correctional officers and basically called them beat-up squads. Does this facility have a beat-up squad? And asked those tough questions and wanted those answers. But obviously, we saw now this story here, and I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. So he was out the other day in Groton, and he's had this kind of run-in with a state trooper in and around this area. And ironically enough, it's for an overtime scandal, because this particular officer has been collecting a lot of money on overtime, and Sean's wanted answers to this. So I'm going to read this a little bit. So Groton, Connecticut, the town of Groton Police Department say they've actively investigating an incident from Friday that involved a law enforcement officer and 2 men. The men were identified as Sean Paul Reyes, 34, from Gorham, New York, and I'm going to probably get this wrong, Tahim Glover, 20, from Selden, New York. Police did not identify the law enforcement officer, of course. Why would we want to do that, right, Jason?
Yeah.
Around 4:52 p.m., the town of Groton received a 911 call about a disturbance. According to the police department, the caller was a law enforcement officer who spoke for the different agencies of the off-duty at the time. And I think the officer's last name is Tahi. I think I've got that right.
No, it's a are you talking about the state cop?
Yes.
It's Fahey, Brian Fahey.
Fahey. I'm sorry, yep. Fahey. I don't know why I said Tahi. Maybe I had Tully and I don't know.
No, I think above when you got the Sean's cameraman's name was Tahim. So I think maybe you got that. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think maybe you got Tahi.
I mixed the two, right? And Sean's had kind of this past with this officer, I think, over the last 2 years of calling him out. And they've had some run-ins before where he's gone in and asked questions at, to get FOIA requests and information. Is this being investigated? And they've given him a lot of pushback and a lot of trouble at the state facilities. And again, so he went out to Fahey's house the other day and knocked on the door. I mean, he has every right to do that as a journalist. And I thought the reaction was so overwhelming and so shocking, because I got to ask the question, and we'll play the video here in a second. I have to ask the question, if this said ABC News, if this said, Fox News, CNN News, would the reaction been a lot different? And we'll play the video, and I want to get your thoughts on that here in a second. But I'm not going to play the full video, but I want to give everybody kind of an idea of what happened.
Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. We are currently at an undisclosed affluent location here in the state of Connecticut. Excuse me, Corrupticate. We are here today, as you can see, to peacefully exercise our First Amendment right to protest and resist tyranny, and also to investigate.
So real quick, that truck is badass. He actually went out because he was trying, from what I understand, he was trying to rent one, and obviously companies don't want to get involved in controversial things.
Yeah,
he went out and actually bought an LED truck, and he drives this thing around. And
this is funny because when I saw this, my first thought was that between him and his cameraman, I'm like, these guys did a 2-man rolling rally. Like, this is the funniest thing that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's great.
It was great. I agree.
All right.
Allegations of corruption that has been made against Connecticut State Trooper Sergeant Brian Fahey. As you can see behind me, Sergeant Brian Fahey is no stranger to tyranny and corruption. Let's get into it. Now, as far as the allegations being made against Sergeant Brian Fahey, I was told through an anonymous tip that he is receiving fraudulent overtime every single year. Now, that was strange to me because Sergeant Brian Fahey, as we know, is the sergeant of pistol permits in an office. How does he receive overtime to begin with? Isn't it a 9-to-5 job? So I did some investigating, and Sergeant Brian Fahey makes over $200,000 a year. Now get this, $75,000 of that $212,000 to be exact comes from overtime. $75,000. How can this be? Does he stay late when they're closed after 5 o'clock? Does he go back on the streets to patrol? I mean, I was told by my sources that he was kicked out of patrol and he's a danger to the community. That's why they have him working in the office. But to get $75,000 in overtime every single year from a desk job, it didn't add up. And that's why I came here to Sergeant Brian Fahey's neighborhood to protest his tyranny and corruption, the lack of accountability, but it's also, as any good independent journalist would, to ask questions about this overtime allegation. So as always, you always want to be on the lookout for any no trespassing signs, restricted area signs. I don't see why there would be in this neighborhood here, but you know, we just want to ask some questions, see what's going on with this overtime allegation. Hopefully he answers us. It says here, the Fahey's looks like we're in the right spot. Again, there aren't any no trespassing signs. We're just coming in peace to ask some questions. Oh, I'm currently being recorded.
So first notable thing I want to say about this video, he went up and knocked on the door and he actually created space. He came back off the porch.
I noticed that too when I watched it the first time, is it really is he's not intimidating in any way.
Nope, he's knocked on the door, he's created space and walked back onto the patio. Here we go.
A ring camera said.
It's not even on his front step.
Can I help you?
Hey, Sergeant Fahey, how are you?
You gotta get off my property. It's posted no trespassing.
Nope, there is no posted sign.
Yeah,
There's no
right in
problem.
here.
Do you have any, let's go. Do you have any comment on the allegations that you
Get off
are,
my property
I am
right now.
moving. Do you have any comment on the allegations that you are receiving? Couldn't even.
Okay. Now I want everybody to wait and see what's going to happen here, because this is where it gets ridiculous and out of hand. And I think the thing that's very weird about it is that the officer leaves, he goes back in his house and comes out. So now, I mean, in my opinion, he's creating a threat. You know, when he comes out with his pistol. Here we go.
Get the question out, ladies and gentlemen. He was so angry. Couldn't even get the question out. He says that there's no trespassing signs. Let's see. Let's see if there's no trespassing signs. What a coward. He can assault me in broad daylight while receiving taxpayer money. But the minute an independent journalist comes to his home, and he's probably going to try and get me unlawfully arrested now. As you can see, I moved back his camera that says you're currently being recorded. Film this guy. You're crazy. What do you think I'm doing, you psycho? You have a weapon in your hand? What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't have any weapons. I'm a journalist. What do you think I'm doing, you psychopath? What do you think I'm doing?
Get off my property right now.
What do you think?
Get off my property right now.
I'm off your property.
This is my property.
Well, do you see me not
All the way
moving?
to the cul-de-sac.
Calm down.
Get off my
that gun out
fucking
of your hand.
property.
Get that gun out of
Get
your hand,
off my
you psycho.
fucking property.
Get that gun
I'm
out
a
of your hand, you
goddamn
psycho.
Connecticut State Trooper.
I don't care who you are.
are trespassing
I don't
on
care
my
who you are.
fucking
I don't
property.
care who you
Get
are.
off my fucking
I don't
property.
care who you are.
Right now.
You spit
Right
in
there.
my
Off my
face.
property
Right there.
You're
right
going
now.
to jail now.
Get
Look
off
at
my
this.
property.
So apparently, because I've watched a lot of videos on this and a lot of lawyers have broken it down, that's not assault in the state of Connecticut. You can literally spit in someone's face. But let's turn the table. If Sean Paul Reyes legitimately spit in Faye's face, it would be assault on an officer.
You know, the funny thing is I watched that unfold live, obviously, at the other end of this video when the police were there talking about it. Yet I can find cases in Connecticut where people were charged with assault for spitting in other people's faces that were not police officers. They've charged it. I've watched them charge it in other cases here in Connecticut. They just didn't charge it in this case because they found, you know, the police shouldn't be looking for a loophole to avoid charging somebody. You know what I mean? I mean, sure, they should do their due diligence or whatever else, but if they would charge the average citizen with that crime, then they should charge the state police sergeant with that crime.
If Sean Paul Reyes would have done that to Fahey, he'd probably be in prison for 5 years.
Well, the funny thing is a crime to spit on a police officer.
Yeah,
there's a difference in the statute, which is like completely, ridiculous. Well, it's because when the Groton police officer tells them, no, it's because I'm a police officer, and like, oh, like you actually think that it's justified that you have an added level of protection from being spit on than the average citizen does. Why is it? Explain it. But the real important part of the clip that we saw so far is there's not a person in the world that can watch that clip and not immediately see who the aggressor is in the clip. There's no justification. The moment that he said, "Get off my property," Sean started to move.
Yeah.
He never stopped.
He was retreating.
He never stopped. Sure, he walked backwards and then he turned around. He never stopped moving. He was moving off the property in constant motion. For him to be arrested was so outrageous in this case. We didn't get there yet, but sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, and the thing that's weird is that, and that's why I turned around and said, Faye became the primary aggressor, where he left, went in and got his pistol, and came out and started to chase Sean off his property, where what could he have done, Jason? He's already on the phone with 911. We see how quickly they get there, because they get there pretty damn quick. If he just would have went in his house and he was so concerned, if he's so concerned, go in your house, you're already on the phone with 911, they would have shown up. It's not like they're not going to fucking see who Sean is. He's got this big LED truck out there, and they could have just talked to him out there. But and yet he wanted to chase him off the property because he wanted something to happen. And I'm telling you, he wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill him. He wanted.
I believe that. I agree with you 100%. And the truth is when he went in his house, he makes it. I don't know how much more we're going to play, but he makes an argument within there where he's saying, "You threatened my life. You threatened my." He's setting up the scene where he has it on camera that he said that so that he can pull the trigger. I agree with you, but in any reasonable situation, he made a mistake by doing that. And I don't think he understands this, because in any reasonable situation, if you're saying that you are in fear, well, then the correct response was when you went inside, you could watch through the window, arm yourself for your security. But if you're in fear, you wouldn't go back out and have the second confrontation and be the aggressor in the confrontation. You would stay back, observe, report to the 911 operator what was happening. And the report had to have been, if you did that, I asked him to leave the property and he's retreating off the property. And then you would wait for the police.
Yeah, I don't see a weapon. I just see a camera, things like that. Here's the even scarier thing about it. What if it wasn't recorded? Sean Reyes probably would have been dead today.
You're
probably
right.
would have been dead. And guess what? His ring cam footage or whatever his camera probably wouldn't have worked. Just didn't record. We lost the footage.
They never would ask for it. They never would ask for it.
Nope. And it would have been a justified killing. And clearly, thank God he recorded this. All right, here we go.
Look at this. He's spitting in my face. You saw you're
right
going
in
to
my
jail.
face. I'm spitting as I'm talking to you.
No, you spit
Get
in
off
my
my
face.
property.
You spit in
right
my face.
now.
You spit in my face.
Get off my
You're
property
going to jail.
right now.
I'm going.
Get off my
I've
property.
been going.
Right
Since the
now.
moment you told me.
Get off
That's
my
not how
property.
criminal trespass
right
works.
now.
Psycho.
Get
You're
off
a
my
psycho,
property.
bro. You're
right
Look
now.
at the gun in his hand. This guy's
Goddamn right.
crazy.
I'm a Connecticut State
I don't
trooper.
care a shit who you
are
are.
trespassing on my property.
That doesn't matter. You can't
threatened
break
to
the law.
kill me.
I didn't.
You threatened to
You
kill me
lied.
online.
Right. No, I
Get
did
off
not.
my fucking
You're a
property.
liar.
Right
You
now.
are a liar.
Right now.
Look, see the
Get
big
off my
billboard
property.
truck? It's all being recorded.
I don't care.
It's all being. I
Get
know you
off
don't
my
care
property
because you don't face any
right now.
consequences.
Get
You
off
don't
my
face any
property
consequences.
right now.
Don't
This is
spit
the
in my
biggest
face.
mistake you ever
No,
made.
no, it's not.
This
It's
is
the biggest mistake
you
you ever made.
Just going to bring this up. Jay says, hey, I'm a pro First Amendment right. Get off his property. It's really simple. He's doing that. He's retreating. And I'm sorry. And I'm just going to say this, JD. If someone has a gun in their hand, I'm not turning my back to them. I think Sean's doing the perfectly good thing here to keep that pistol in his sight of vision, because he turns his back and say he goes to turn back around. Fahey might take that as a threat and fucking shoot and kill Sean. So I commend him for what he's doing. He's retreating. He's backing up. But the most important thing, when someone has a weapon and they're down at their side or they're pointing it at you, you want eyes on that weapon at all time, because you don't know what's going to happen. Go ahead, Jason. You're going to say something?
Yeah, and Nan had popped in and said that the camera was Sean's weapon and the best weapon used that day, and that's absolutely correct. And that's the only weapon that Brian Fahey was actually afraid of too. So this is not a response of someone who's in fear. This guy, I guess in context, for those of us who watched the previous videos, their first interaction at the Connecticut State Police headquarters and all these other things, this guy is the weapon. Like, this guy is
he pushed Sean. He pushed Sean.
He completely created, talk about, we talk about good police practice and de-escalation and these things. This guy completely created every single scene. Sean was going to the Connecticut State Police headquarters to file a public records request, and he needed no interaction with this firearms officer. There was no reason for there to even be an interaction between them. And Fahey is the one that initiated the action, and he was the aggressor in that video. Every single time there's a video with Sergeant Brian Fahey, he's escalating. He's doing that.
Yeah.
The law is really clear on this. If you're a journalist, you can go up and you can knock on a person's door to ask a question. And if they tell you to leave, you have to leave. And everything that Sean, I get that people may not like what he did, and they're going to say, oh, he brought a video truck out there and this guy's he's instigating and he's a clown. Nope. He did what every reporter in this country is allowed to do, which is walk up and knock on the door. And when the person told him to leave, he immediately turned around and left. Like that's that. And your point about him not turning, because he turned and started to walk away facing forward.
And then he said, I have a gun in my hand. I have a gun in my hand.
And he only turned back around then. And the truth is you're right. We see it all the time with police reports and everything else. Oh, he reached for something. Yep. He turned, he did this.
That's what he wanted Sean to do. He wanted Sean to turn around. And then if he turned back around, so let's just say Sean turned and walked Jason, right? He's turning and he turns back around. That's when people get shot. That's when people get killed. And then come to find out, oh, guess what? They were unarmed. They were unarmed and they were killed. Kimber says he could have just said, please leave, and went back inside the house. That's my greater point in all of this. And I know JD's, kind of having a discussion with people in the chat. The problem is, and we get it, JD said, I had an intruder at my house. I get it. But here's the thing. If Fahey knows who Sean Paul Reyes is, it's not like they haven't talked before. He went up and knocked on the door, just like Jason said, you have every right to do that as a journalist. And I'd encourage you to go back and watch the video if you haven't seen the full video. So he knocks on the door. He actually walks off the steps, gets down to the walkway or patio area, ask him a question. The trooper comes out. He asks him a question, and then the trooper goes in and gets his gun and comes out. So to me, all on the phone with 911. Why didn't you just walk inside the house and say, hey, I got this crazy guy here. He's been giving me an issue. And you're going to see how quick they get there. So they're there within 3 to 5 minutes of the call. It's how close the police were. And there's multiple police officers are going to show up. And I'm sure that I'm going to tell you, they probably have known about this. So, my whole thing is if you're afraid of this person, then why not just go back in the house, stay on the call with 911 and say, give them updates. He's walking around my house, or looks like he's walking up my driveway right now. It's not like they're not going to miss him. Like I said, there's a big black LED truck out front. They're going to see it.
Yeah, it'd be hard to flee the scene, right? But this point that you just made right here, where we talk about how fast the police response is, this is the kind of response when instead of just saying, I'm a guy at my house, you say I'm a Connecticut State Trooper. So when you say there's a guy on the lawn, instead of saying there's a police officer on the lawn, we see the difference in the kind of response, because this response is boom, there's cops and there's a lot of them and it's fast.
Isn't that amazing how that works? Guy on the lawn, but hey, I'm a Connecticut State Trooper. All right, let's go back up to the video here and watch.
No,
Get
it's
off
not.
my property right now.
It's not the biggest mistake.
Get
I
off
ever
my
made.
property right
It's
now.
not the biggest mistake.
Get off
You
my
are spit in my face.
I didn't spit in your face.
You
I
disgusting.
was spitting on you.
Yeah.
Why I'm yelling at you to get off my property right
Get
now.
off. I'm off your property. Now what?
And I have to say this. He's a little man. He's a tiny little guy. And this is kind of like little man's disease, in my opinion.
Well, not only that, but do you see him? This is what cops do, right? This is the amazing thing here, because he's saying, I didn't spit in your face. Spit came out while I was talking.
No,
we watched him go.
Yeah,
right. But he's already adjusting the narrative. He's already starting his false police report in his head, right? Because he's going to give a statement or write a report, and he's already starting. That's what most people don't know, right? Like, we're here, we have a guest, and things happen. You're asking questions, and sometimes you have to pivot. You have to think on your feet. You have to do these things on YouTube, right? Well, as a cop, that's what he's doing. He's already starting to create the report in his head and going So this guy who's in the middle of a confrontation, who is so out of control with anger and doing all these other things, still has the wherewithal to figure out he's also thinking in his head, how am I going to protect myself? How do I alter this statement to get it on camera to make sure that I'm saying I only did this? So like, that's the level of, sheer coordination that goes into these things. And it gets even worse when the cops arrives.
Yeah. He definitely hawk two'd right in his face. You heard it.
He sure did.
Yeah.
Now what? Look at the gun in his hand.
That's right, I have a gun in my hand. I'm a goddamn Connecticut State Trooper.
I don't care.
You threatened to kill me
No,
online.
I did
So I'm
not.
protecting myself
Right
and
there.
my family.
No, I did
Don't
not.
ever fucking come back to my house again.
No problem. I'll stand right here with my billboard truck.
You go right ahead. Go right
No
ahead.
problem.
I don't
You spit
care.
in my face, you're
Don't
going to
ever
jail.
come back to
You're
my
going to jail.
fucking house
You're
again.
going to jail.
Don't ever
You're
come
going
back to
jail.
my house
It's okay for
again.
you to assault people and break people's property, but I can't ask questions about
You're a
your
fucking
overtime.
liar.
About
You're
your
a fuck-
overtime,
My
$75,000
More than
for
that,
a desk job.
More than
More
that.
than that, right?
More than
More
that.
than that. I'm gotta go. What a crazy psychopath! He spit in my face. No, I'm an independent journalist. Get it right, buddy. Get it right. I never threatened. He says I threatened to kill him.
I gotta say, I mean, Sean's held it together pretty well here. I mean, I know adrenaline's probably kicking in. He's probably nervous. I mean, he just had a pistol, literally, a guy with a pistol standing next to him saying that, get off my property, turn your back on me. I don't think so, but I mean, this could have been really, really fucking bad. Really fucking bad.
I have a theory, which is the guy who has the audacity to drive a billboard truck to outside of a state police officer's house probably has balls enough to stand his ground in that way. Like, so it is kind of a character feature to do what he does, right?
Yeah.
But just like I said right before we played this next part of the clip, you threatened to kill me and my family online. He's writing the report. He's writing the report in his head. It doesn't matter. Because that's the narrative. He needs the narrative to work on him. So he's already working on the narrative in the middle of the incident. It's crazy.
Yeah. Jay Cornerstone, I think it's over 1 million views now. I think it's well over 1 million views. All right, let's play a little bit more here.
Ooh, I knocked on your front door. I'll get that 911 call too, buddy.
It's 759,000 views.
Look at this guy. I'm a Connecticut State Trooper. Come help me from the camera. Come help me from the guy asking me questions, please, before I shoot him. And I did. No, you spit in my face and you're going to jail. And you're going to jail.
If he's so afraid that he's gonna, just like he said that, what he's saying is that Sean threatened him to kill him. If he's so afraid, then why not just turn and go up your property and go back to your house?
This is the third time he's reapproaching too. It's the third time.
That's good call out, Jason. Yeah.
You're going to jail. You spit in my face and you're going to, it's all right here, buddy. Right here. It's all right here. It's all right here, buddy. Look at these guys. Look.
No, look. The cops came.
I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not doing anything.
True.
He just spit in my face.
Get over here.
Well, I didn't break any laws.
You in a second, okay?
For what?
Because
I haven't
we
broken the
just
law.
got a disturbance.
No.
You
But
have weapons on you?
do you have reasonable articulable suspicion I
Yes,
committed
I
a crime?
do.
What?
Yeah, I got
What is
all
it?
the-
What is
I got
it?
a call from a trooper.
That doesn't
that
matter.
hit his face and there's a
That's
disturbance.
It doesn't matter. I'm
Yeah,
a journalist. I knocked on the door
have
and asked
weapons on
questions. No, I have no weapons
You
on
have
me.
weapons on you.
We have a
there.
camera of mass destruction.
No,
I'm putting my
the guy
camera
does.
down.
Don't move.
The
Don't
camera
move
of mass
until I get backup
destruction.
units.
Yeah.
You can put it away.
What's your name?
Officer Romansky, it says right here. Nope, just stay right
He
here.
pulled out a gun on me for knocking on the
No,
door.
you're on his property.
I'm allowed to go on his property and knock
No.
on the door. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
He
You got to learn the law, man.
No.
I'm a journalist. No, you got to learn the law.
Okay. Let's just back
I'm
up.
allowed to ask questions.
Sure.
I am.
So let me tell you why we're here.
What's wrong with you? I'm not doing anything. I have no weapons on me. I have nothing. You couldn't stop.
For you.
He has the weapon.
Okay. Now let me explain something to you.
Make sure
Explain
yeah,
something
no
to you.
weapons. He has the
You're
weapon.
Recording. Okay. So here's the deal. So here's the disconnect here. Here's the difference. So we get a call from him. He calls 911. Hold on.
I'm not
Let
going
me
to speak.
say,
I'm
if
letting you speak.
Okay. When you call 911 and say you're
I'm
in a
gonna record,
disturbance
okay?
with somebody, We come code 3, like my lights were on.
You wouldn't do this for a citizen.
Yes, I would. We do
No,
it
you
for-
wouldn't. You're doing it because he's a state trooper.
No, we do
That's
it for
why. You're doing it
citizens
because he's a state trooper.
Okay. We do it for citizens every single day.
Not like this.
Yes, 100% all the time. If we think there's an active disturbance, then we respond code 3, which means lights and sirens, and we're in an emergency response.
Do you see the spit on my face?
I don't.
You don't see the
Really
spit on my
don't.
face? Well, I have it on camera. He
Okay.
spit in my face. I want him arrested. He spit in my face.
All right.
On camera.
Okay.
I want you to lock him up. He spit in my face. You understand that?
Okay.
If I spit in your face, what would happen to me?
Okay. Here, listen. Let's just.
I knocked on a door and he spit in my face. You can't do that.
Okay. I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying. So let's just take a step
There's
back
spit
here.
all over.
So
I'm gonna
here-
go get DNA test on his spit so you can see it.
Go do what you got to do. Let's find out what happened. The whole story.
All right, I'm gonna tell you really quick what happened. Okay?
No, tell me. Take
I'm
it.
okay. I'm an
I got a
independent.
camera on too. So
Sure,
we're good.
I'm an independent journalist.
Okay.
I'm here peacefully protesting. This man, as you can see from the video footage right here, assaulted me, stole my camera from me. He was never held accountable. I got a tip as an independent journalist that he is cooking the books when it comes to his overtime. I did some research. He gets $75,000 of overtime a year,
Okay.
and he's a desk sergeant. So I thought that was interesting. So I wanted to follow up on it.
Okay.
I went up here. There's no trespassing signs. I'm very familiar with the law. There aren't any no trespassing signs or anything like that. I went up, knocked on the door. He answered the door. I said, "Do you have any comment?" He said, "Get off my property." I immediately started, and his camera will show that. Because I know the law, I don't break the law, sir. I immediately started back.
Jason, let me ask you a question. How do you feel they're responding right now? Do you think they're handling it proper? I mean,
Well, the interesting thing is that when he, and I always try to look at this from 1,000-foot view, right? I'm trying to put myself in the position of the police officer, put myself in the position of Sean, I'm trying to do all of this, right? And I do know that when we know how agitated and how loud the Fahey was on the call, and they hear him swearing and screaming and all of this stuff. So I do understand why they may have stepped up their response. And the first officer who's by himself when he gets there, his instinct is to separate them, right? Which is actually
de-escalate.
Which is right by the board. He didn't de-escalate right away. He made a mistake, but his first instinct was to separate them, which was good.
Sure.
And then he's like, I got a call from a trooper. Okay, well,
Yeah.
now you just set the table for everyone to be able to say, oh, I see. Like, hold on, my partner over here called me and said this, But then he actually did a fairly good job of trying to de-escalate. I mean, especially if there's two cops on the scene, the one that lives there and the one that responded. And one of them did a fairly decent job of trying to de-escalate. And when you look at it in comparison to their behavior,
And you've even watched Sean now come down a little bit. I mean, he was angry still about the spit, but now he's starting to come down too. So,
well, and this is just such a crucial moment in this video because it literally is why they train police to de-escalate, because you want the subject, the person that you're speaking to, their energy to match your energy. So if you bring your energy down, you watched it happen. And Sean did get a little amped up again because he feels like he's not being heard, but you do have that situation. That could have been what Sergeant Fahey did the first time they had an encounter, the second time they had an encounter, and this time. He never did that. He escalated from the beginning in every single one of those encounters. That guy shouldn't be a cop. Like, that guy should not wear a badge. There's just no question. But this Groton cop started out good. It didn't end up so good, but I think it ended up over his head.
Yeah, it's it's a good analysis though. I mean, definitely this guy should not be holding a badge. Here we go.
Backing up while continuing to ask him questions. He went back inside, closed the door, would have been the end of it. He came back out with his gun in his hand, got inches from my face. No, I would say less than inches from my face, real up to my face, and spit in my face. It's all over my face right here. All this wet is not sweat. He spit in my face as I'm leaving his property, as he asked me to do. Hey, can I just get your name and badge number, ma'am? Thank you. I appreciate it. I just want to know everybody that's here. That's all.
Yeah. I'm Romansky. That's Brion. My sergeant's right there. His name is Sergeant Bedard. You can talk with him.
He knows me. I know him. He knows I'm not a threat to him. Okay. I'm asking him questions.
I don't know that. Okay.
No, he knows that.
Okay, I got you. But if somebody came onto your property
And that's the question.
well, so if somebody came onto my property and I didn't know them, then I would be a little upset about it. And I don't know.
So do you get mad? Do you get mad at a Jehovah Witness?
I would. Well, no.
Do you pull out a gun on a Jehovah
No, I
Witness?
say no, thank you. Please leave.
Right.
Right.
And they leave. Right.
Did you?
Do you pull out your gun? Yes. And do you pull out your gun and spit in their face?
Sounds like you're trying to question them.
Oh, now look, we're starting to shape the narrative here. Sounds like you're trying to question him. We can. He's a journalist.
No, but the real that's not the real problem in this moment. The real problem in this moment is Officer Romansky is there to take information about what's happened so that it can later be used to determine what happened. And he's giving information, right? It's incorrect information, I might add too. But it's it didn't look like you were leaving. How do you know that? You weren't there. Right.
Here?
You weren't even there. Like, you haven't seen any video of this thing yet. You're standing here talking to the subject, and now you're telling him what happened when you weren't even there. And you heard it on the phone. It sounds like you were trying to continue to question him. Well, because the law doesn't say you have to shut up and leave. It just says you have to leave. So that was an error right there. And I guarantee you, in the ultimate lawsuit that this comes up, that's going to be brought up because Sean's going to sue the Groton Police Department.
I think I saw something, and I can't confirm, Jason, but I think it's like a $20 million lawsuit that's going to be filed. I saw some rumors of that online.
That moment right there is going to come up in that lawsuit without question, in some of the, or at least in the lawfare that occurs ahead of time, because they'll probably end up by being a settlement, because there's not even arguable for the ultimate arrest. I hate to give you guys a spoiler, but for the ultimate arrest, there's not even arguable probable cause for the charge of voyeurism. There's not. It's all ridiculous. And if you were going to charge a person with causing a disturbance or doing any of that, like, you literally are going to have to contend with the person that actually was causing the disturbance, which is Sergeant Brian Fahey. So if you didn't charge him for causing a disturbance, you definitely aren't going to charge this other guy who did exactly what he was supposed to do under the law and backed up. The one area, just to be fair, the one area which I need a little more research, and maybe Nan will message us after and tell us. The only thing is there's no trespassing signs. There is that one sign that says private road. And I still don't think that will count as a no trespassing sign, but that's the one. He
doesn't. I think Sean explains to it after his driveway and that road comes in. That's actually it's private. I don't know. He explained in his video, but he doesn't actually own that area of the road. It's not technically his property. It's like conjoined property. I don't know. He explains.
I saw when he was backing up. I did see that there's like a Y and there's another
because it goes off to another house, right? And
so
past those trees, if you see that splits the property, there was trees there. I think past that tree line is like, I don't know. He explained it, and he's like, yeah, it's not his property.
And Nan's saying in the chat now that I agree. I thought that too, but that was again, when I do this, I actually try to search for other people's points and trying to see, like, what's the argument they're going to make and what they're going to do. And in this entire instance, that's the one thing that I saw that I said, this is the only thing where there's even a possibility of something there, because everything else is so egregious and so bogus that it's like, there's not, this lawsuit's going to settle from the Groton Police Department or whatever else, because there's not even arguable probable cause to make an arrest. And there is arguable probable cause for them to have made an arrest of Brian Fahey.
Yeah, Jay Corner says there's a shared driveway. And we saw earlier too that Fahey tried to say that Sean's camera was a taser, I guess, in a previous interaction or report. So I mean, we can know where this is going. Let's play a little bit more of this here. I'm gonna be right back, Jason. I gotta step aside for a second. Hang on. I'll just play this.
As I'm leaving.
As you're leaving.
Right. You can do two things at the same time, officer.
Sure, you can
do two things at the same time.
Do whatever you want. But if somebody came onto my property and asked them to leave, and it sounds like you weren't leaving.
No. You're. This is why I have multiple cameras. He has a camera.
He has his camera on. Like,
but you weren't here. This is you're missing the point.
Okay.
You're missing the point.
Do you want to show me the footage?
I can show you the footage, but wait, I can show you the footage. Go ahead. Actually, you know what? We'll see what he says, because I want him to write a report and be a liar and then go to jail for that too. He spit in my face. Do you understand that?
Yes.
What if somebody spit in your face? Do you understand? Right. He spit in my face.
But do you understand? I wouldn't want somebody on my property either.
I can ask. Well, I have every right to go to his property and ask a question.
Okay. But
He doesn't have a right to spit in my mouth, in my face, sir.
He asked you to leave.
And I began to leave immediately.
He just immediately just jumped.
He went back inside, got his gun. He's on the phone with 911 saying, I have a gun. As him and I are backing up, he gets in my face all the way down this driveway here, telling me, get off my property, get off my property. That I threatened to kill him. I've never threatened to kill him. He's a liar, and it's all on camera, so don't make any false statements, you liar.
You're talking to me. Okay?
He's lied before on camera. He's lied before in internal affairs reports. He has said that he thought my camera was a firearm. He has said ridiculous things in internal affairs reports. I'm a journalist. I have every right to knock on anybody's door I want. The minute that they ask me to leave, I leave. That's it. I have every right, and I did
You
leave.
just told me you were trying to ask him questions when he told you to leave.
As I'm leaving. Did you miss that part?
Well, no, actually, I want to see.
I will show you. Ready? I will show you.
No.
Hey, do you have any comments on this and that? That's what happened.
Okay, can you show me the footage? You won't show me.
I want to see what he says first.
Okay.
I want to see what he says first.
That's a good point. Let's see what
So
he
smart.
says first, and then I'm going to show you.
It's what the cops do, right? So it's before they give their statement to internal affairs. I want to watch the body camera. Before I give my statement, I want to watch the body camera so I can figure out, and let's all have a little powwow so we can figure out how to get our story straight, right? Let's get our story straight.
Right.
But Sean is doing exactly the right thing. He's using their own tactic against them. It is a thing. Sorry, I was distracted by the chat for a minute, but
Okay.
there is this whole concept of the police do that, and Sean is so smart for forcing them to get their side on the record first before he gives the evidence, because you saw Fahey doing it down the driveway. He's starting his story. Now you see the cop in the street doing it. Yeah, but you didn't leave right away, but you were asking him questions, and he's starting to shape the narrative. They're all, from the start, they're all in it to get the narrative that gets the outcome they want, when what they should be in it for is to get the truth of what occurred. But
Yeah.
that's it. That lasted for about 10 seconds, and then immediately became, how do I find something to justify Sean's arrest? How do I change the narrative to protect Brian Fahey? It's just the perfect microcosm of what happens on a larger level. You're seeing it all in this video, and it's in front of our eyes, so we can actually watch it occurring.
All right, let's bump up. I'm going to speed up about 10 minutes because this back and forth is going to kind of go. It's pretty much the same thing for the next 10 minutes. And we'll go to when they're ultimately going to make the decision of what they're going to happen to Sean. If anybody hasn't seen this video or wants to watch it without my commentary and Jason's commentary, I'll drop the link in the chat, and I'll also have it in the description after. So if you want to go watch the full video without our commentary, you can do that. All right, let's go back up here. This is going to be the ultimate decision in this. And then what I want to do is, after this segment, I want to touch on a quick segment of a gentleman out in Haverhill, Mass. that was just recently killed by police. Tim Bradle has now been hired by the family to represent them. And we'll talk a little about that, and then we'll wrap up and end the show. So here we go.
It out.
Okay, do you want to get transported?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
No,
All
it's
right, so
fine.
you're good with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just need a little bit of information from you when you get a moment.
Sure.
Is there anything else we can do for you?
No, that's it. Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming out. So I don't want to waste your time. Thanks, guys.
Good luck.
Appreciate
to
it.
you,
Thank
man.
you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Take care.
Have a good one.
I like your video.
Thank you.
They probably don't want me to say that.
they would only not want you to say that if they weren't on the up and up.
You said the right thing. Say whatever you want.
Yeah, free speech. That's what I fight for, right? Free
That's all
speech.
you're all about.
Free speech.
You guys.
I love that
Take care.
interaction.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, that's why I wanted to play it there. I knew they had that interaction. All right, so
He's the lucky
Hey,
luck
sir,
of
how are
the
you?
ambulance service.
So is there any updates on, because obviously I want to press charges for him spitting in my face that I showed the sergeant here on camera. So
Yeah.
what's going to happen with that?
So we went through the assault statute specifically, and there's nothing that specifically states that spitting on somebody is an assault unless it caused you physical pain.
So essentially, everybody can go around Groton and fucking spit all over everybody. That's what they're saying.
Not quite everybody.
Unless it's a police officer, then it's assault and you go
Yeah.
to jail for fucking 10 years.
They're gonna
The
say
only
right
thing
there,
that
yeah.
assault fits is physical pain, and that's under the exception of if you spit
It's
on an
so
officer,
crazy.
then that is when bodily fluids become involved.
So he could spit on me in my face and in my mouth, and that's not against the law.
Oh, wait, what's this?
Circumstances, I'm saying that it doesn't really fit the assault charge.
Oh, my God.
So what happened if I spit on you?
Well, then you would get arrested because I'm an officer.
Oh, there you
can't spit on
go.
an
That's how
officer
it works.
Because in the assault on an officer charge, bodily fluids are included.
The
So
bodily
there is
fluids
no
aren't there
charge.
unless you're an
You're
officer.
telling me, as a sergeant of the ground,
Yeah, bodily fluids don't matter unless you're an officer.
No,
So-
no. He said when he first said it, he said, "Well, if you spit on an officer, then there's bodily fluids involved." So you're saying that when he spit on Sean, there was no bodily
Nobody
fluids
fluids
involved.
involved. It didn't
Right.
cause him physical pain, right?
It just is bodily fluids only exist if you're spitting on an officer.
You can't make this up. You can't make it up. All right, here we go.
Okay,
police
Trooper
department.
Paul.
You're telling
Yeah,
me there is no charge for a grown
you just spoke to him, right? It just did.
It spoke to him.
man
The crime
spitting in
scene.
another grown
I'm
man's
telling you that
face.
it doesn't fit assault.
Well, what does it fit?
There you go. That's the question.
Isn't that your job to find out? What does it fit? Like
At
what
the most,
what
would
crime
fit
it
a
is?
breach of peace, but you're on his property. You interacted.
God.
You engaged the interaction. I mean,
So if it's a breach of peace, arrest him for a breach of peace.
well, that's
Bingo.
the other issue that we're going down right now. Is you guys are also in violation of a breach of peace.
No.
as well as
I mean, take us
voyeurism.
both then. Take us both then. It's not
So-
voyeurism. It's not voyeurism to knock on somebody's door. That's not.
It is if
it's
he has
not.
a reasonable expectation of privacy and you invade on his curtilage
No,
and you're recording.
you're wrong.
him,
But do it. Then I will gladly go take the ride. Arrest us both for a breach
all
of
right,
peace.
well then turn around for me.
I love that.
Do what you got to do, man.
Do what you got to do. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. All that for you. 1, 2. He didn't even do anything. He didn't even do anything. He was just recording.
Yep.
I
And
guess-
that's why you're getting arrested as well, because you're both reporting on this private property, initiating this, which caused a giant scene.
Well, thank you for that
I
for the lawsuit. Thank you for that for the lawsuit. That's why you're getting arrested as well, because you're both recording on his private property. Oh, thank you. It's about the recording. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for admitting that on camera, you moron police officer.
And again, this goes back to this, Jason. If it was ABC News van and walked up there with a big professional camera in the hand and went and knocked on the door, I can almost guarantee you that interaction would have been completely different from Fahey. He would have came out with his phone in his hand, 911, get off my property. I don't want to answer any questions. Goes back in his house and waits for the cops to get there. That's how this all would have ended. The thing is that it's the track record with Sean Paul asking the tough questions that people don't want to answer and has completely been persistent and followed up on this. And we know of all the incidences he's had, I think 3 or 4 of them since this. Okay, the pushing, the shoving in front of other officers at a state police facility with plenty of camera footage and reports and whatever it is. Fahey, was looking for a reason to shoot and kill Sean Paul. That's what this comes down to. And I commend Sean Paul for this. Walking up, using his journalistic ability, knocking on the door, creating that space, because he knows this guy's fucking crazy, creating that space, asking some tough questions. He didn't like it. Fahey goes back in the house and gets his gun, chase him off his property, says, you need to leave, you need to leave. He is leaving, but he's not going to turn his back on this guy. This guy has a gun. I'm going to tell you, I'm never turning my back on anybody that has a gun in their hand, even if they're telling me to leave my property. I'm slowly backing up. I'm walking off that property because I don't want to make a move, just like we just talked about. We've heard a lot of this shit. Oh, he made a move. That's what he was waiting for. He wanted to kill and shoot this guy. And thank God that they had a camera there, because this situation would have been completely different. There would have been, Sean would have been dead. The cop would have been justified. And ironically, just like in Karen Reed's case, that ring cam footage would have went missing or disappeared, or just like you said, Jason, they never would have asked for it.
That, the thing is, this actually points out a good point here. But like, even if he was recording, it's not thank God for the camera, right? Because if he was just recording himself, he'd probably still be dead. Thank God he had a second person and a
Yeah.
cameraman. Like, for people that want to
Witness.
do this, I've followed and covered this First Amendment audit community since 2017, 2018, like all the way back then, from the original, the godfather of the auditing movement, Carlos Miller in Miami, who started the organization Photography Is Not a Crime, literally got involved because he was a photographer, would be out there taking pictures, and then the police started harassing him. Jeff Gray, all of these people, and you watch these, you kind of watch this movement evolve, and people want to get involved and they want to do things like this. It takes a special breed, but when you're doing it, like, you have to be smart and you have to be safe and you have to do these things because they are risking their lives.
Yeah, they're looking for a
literally
moment to kill him. That's it. That's all they want to do is just kill you. Another good one to watch is Mass Accountability. He's in Massachusetts. He's a great channel.
Yeah. So the point is when you look at this, it's just all around. There is so much wrong with this, and we have these great moments there where we have the police officer on camera saying, no, it's because you're recording on his private property. So there you go. So you've tied it to the recording, you've tied it to the First Amendment. These cops hate the First Amendment, man. I don't care what they do, they hate it. They don't. Most of them begrudgingly accept it when he said, I can say what I want. You should say what you want, he said to the guy, but they don't want to be on camera. They don't want you to have cameras, and they're going to do anything they can do. You may be able to beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. And I think Sean even says that in this. I'll take the ride.
Too, yeah.
All I can say is I'm predicting now in the audit video that this is going to be Sean Paul Reyes gets an A+. The officers get an F.
I love that guy. If you want to watch Sean's video, I got the link right there. You can click on that. I dropped it in the chat, and you can watch that. And also, if you want to support Sean, and I did the other day, I dropped him a little bit money in his kettle. He's about $5,000 away from fighting the charges back on this. I'm going to drop the link there. You can support him if you'd like to. He's got a GoFundMe up. And you can support Sean over there. All right, let's finish up here with a story that came out of Haverhill, Mass. the other day. I had the video here on my channel. I'm not going to play through it. I wish we had longer time for the segment, but I want to talk about Francis. I think it's Gigliotti, and I probably said that wrong. But there is officials plan to first public briefing on Gigliotti's death investigation on Monday. And if you haven't watched this, essentially there was a man, and I'll read a little bit of this. Essex County District Attorney Paul Tucker on Monday is expected to provide an update on the status of an officer's investigation into the death of Francis Gigliotti a week ago while in Haverhill police custody. The district attorney will share city of Haverhill body video camera footage as well as bystander video showing 43-year-old Gigliotti before and through the time he became unresponsive around Friday, July 11th at 6:30 p.m. on a sidewalk out on the outskirts of downtown Haverhill. No advanced information was provided whether of any of the findings of the chief medical examiners will be available. I always find it funny, Jason, that in these officers, in these deaths, Enrique Delgado-Garcia still don't have a medical report. We're probably never going to see a medical report in this one as well. Essentially what happened, it looked like the officers basically pig-piled on him and essentially choked him out. And there's been stories and rumors circulating that he bought crack from a dealer just before that, an hour before it happened. Again, I can't confirm any of those sources. I know that the mainstream media in the area are chasing that down. It's a very sad situation overall around. And we just heard that Tim Bradle has been hired by the family. What do you think about this one, Jason?
This one's tough for me, right? Because we're so early on, right? This just happened. We're so early into this, and it just keeps.
It's just growing legs. Yeah,
it's growing legs, but it also just keeps reminding me of the Just en Route situation, where it sounds like there's some mental health issues involved in terms of people that like to run to the crack, right? So he's smoking crack, and the crack is me. People who smoke crack don't normally react with this level of psychosis. Normally they are zombies, right? Like they sit there and not a lot of stuff happens. And you see the meme of the guy with the white lips sitting there. You know what I mean? It makes people usually unable to function, not go in. It's not PCP where you go into this hysteria or whatever.
Yeah, psychosis.
So, but mental illness is a bitch, and there's a problem is that it's a really hard issue to deal with. In the Just on Route case, we see that. I think we're going to see shades of that in this case. And so, are there situations where the police might need to restrain or do? Yes, there are. And so I really do hope that this case gets more focus. And I think that the entire thing needs more scrutiny. I think we're too early to see exactly what happened, because sometimes when you're in these situations and you're on the ground and things are happening quickly, it really is a dangerous situation, and there's a scramble, and I have this really great video. I'll find it and share it with you, Brian, offline. But there's a video of there's a person who is like a police accountability activist, and who likes to have open dialogue with the police or whatever. I forgot where this was. It might have been in Texas somewhere. And the police invited him to come along for a ride along on these actual calls and see things from the perspective of the police officer. I don't want everyone to think that we're just always anti-police. You know what I mean? So to see things from the perspective of the police officer, and the police accountability activist, after when they did a really honest interview, and the police accountability activist was like, this is kind of crazy, because they were asking him, like, what would you do? What would you have done here? What did you think happened here? And his responses were actually that he would have done more than the police officer did. He would have been more aggressive, or he would have done these different things after being in those shoes. So I always try to take this into account with all of these other people when you see this happening, because it's rough. And when you have a chaotic scene, the guy's running into traffic, is doing things like that. I think it needs a great deal of scrutiny, and I think people really do need to get to the bottom of this one. And I do think if someone needs to be held accountable, they should be. But I also think that this is one where we're again just a week out or whatever from this. People need to zoom in and look at what's happening.
Yeah. I'll play about 30 seconds of the video. You know, he's been said to have been screaming for help. And there's a lot of officers responding here. I'll play a little bit of this, and then we're going to wrap it up here.
Easy with that boy. You got issues. Easy with that boy. Make sure you be easy with that boy. It's taking all you got for whole home going out though. So be careful with it. Be careful with it.
Oh, damn.
So that is, the situation. And I have that video up on my channel if anybody wants to watch through it. Again, it's it's a tough situation. Again, we're only a week out. We need to gather more evidence. I'm not ready to make a total determination on it. But, my whole thing is this. If someone's screaming for help, they're obviously in a crisis. We heard this in the George Floyd situation with I can't breathe. I thought it was, when someone's in that situation and they're complaining about an airway or, they need help, they can't breathe. We got to do better in our policing to take precautions during those situations, because it ultimately could end in someone's life. We have a lot of issues on the streets with drugs, and I'm not saying that this man is involved or has drugs in the system. I don't know. There's been a report out there, like I said, that came out a couple of days ago talking about that supposedly some crack dealer said that he's sold them crack. I think that's neither here or there at this point. Again, gathering the information, finding out. The response to me, I look at it, it's a little overwhelming. I mean, it looks to see as like 8 officers piled on top of him. I'm sure that even anybody in any, maybe in someone in good health could become into a situation that gets succumbed by, this essentially being asphyxiated with people laying on top of you. So
I just, Brian, I just end up in these situations where I watch that and I say, but I am going to contrast this with what I see in a lot of other videos, because I watch these kind of videos all day long. I'm sure, I'm sure that's what your YouTube algorithm feeds you. And in a lot of these cases, what you'll see, the cops piled on and somebody will be pummeling them and somebody will be kicking them and somebody will be doing this. It does seem to me in this video, when I look at it, that it appears that they're attempting to get him into cuffs and restrain him and do these things. I'm not saying they did it right, and I'm not saying there's not wrongdoing, and I'm not saying any of this. But when we see these situations that are escalating in the other direction, you have cops yelling, stop resisting, right? And all the time you watch people getting arrested saying, you're hurting my arm, or I can't breathe, or I can't do these. It's difficult to watch. It's difficult to listen to, but there are some hallmark things that I don't see in some of these other videos. And this is why I'm saying we just need more information.
Yeah. Ashley said there's more videos. I've been kind of scouting around on them. Ashley, if you've seen the other videos, please email me. Let's talk live podcast at gmail.com. And I'll drop my, I'll drop that in the chat. I'd love to see I know there's other angles of it. And they're saying that on Monday, the Haverhill police is going to release, I guess, all the body cam footage or other footage that's out there. And I want to see it. I want to see it. So.
And again, to the Ashley's point that she just made, I agree. And I'm not saying they handled that right. Like we just talked about this in the last video where we talked about the de-escalation and the different things that they should do. And very common, we see this in cases where there's mental illness. But I also, when you're hearing the reports that he ran into traffic and headbutted a car and did all these other things, I also say, like, hang on, like, let's back up. Maybe we do need to see toxicology. Maybe we do need to see some things, because if this was a person in like an active crisis where he was dangerous, and he was dangerous to himself and he was dangerous to others around them, it's not always so black and white. So I'm not letting anybody off the hook. I'm not letting anybody off the hook here. What I'm saying is we just need to scrutinize a little bit more.
Yeah, I want to see a little bit more. And it'd be great if you can get that to me as ASAP. Tomorrow night, I have Nan Gallagher and Todd on the show. I'd love to go through this with them and just see what Todd thinks. He's the expert, 24 years on the state police. I'm sure he can give his determination as well too. Ashley says, will do. There's no body cam, but there's other angles before please. And again, that's my email address right there. Let's talk live podcast at gmail.com. That would be really great. Let me just do a couple of these really quick, Jason. Cindy, thank you for being a 24-month member. She says hashtag justice for Delgado-Garcia. I appreciate that. Lauren checking in. She's out in California right now. I hope you're having a good time, Lauren. Good to see you. Glamis Suze says we need good and responsible policing. It's best for our police and our citizens. I truly agree. And then Britt Happens becoming a new member. Thank you so much. And Britt, this was not, I'm telling you, this is not planned. Well, I planned to do this, but it's funny that you're here. I'm going to promote your stream, by the way. Tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, in about 5 hours from now, Britt's going to have Aiden Carney on her channel, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I think she's going to do a phenomenal job. And I love the fact that, Aiden's giving, and not to beat down on Britt's channel, but she's a smaller channel. And I love the fact that this is going to be a really big interview for her. And I can't wait to see that happen. And I'm going to drop the link here in the chat. And I'm glad that Aiden's given the opportunity to go on all channels of sizes and giving opportunities to people. So please, I dropped the link there. Set your reminder, 6 p.m. I want to see everybody in Britt's chat, and I'm sure it's going to be great.
Yeah, and like and subscribe to this channel, and like and subscribe to Britt's channel, because she's great. So any extra attention she gets out of this is going to be well deserved, because she's one of the nicest people and creators that I've met. Like, she just really is. She's great. So if you haven't seen her yet, go follow her, because just such a nice person. I love her.
She's a very nice person. She's been in the studio before. She's come up and hung out. She stood out in the fucking rain to be out there, out on the courthouse steps and show support for Karen. So she's done a really great job, and please go over and support her. I think that's it, buddy. I feel better now. Like before, I was like trying to get going, and sometimes you have a show planned out, you can't get in rhythm, and I don't know. I'm back now. I feel better.
Well, I've been working on a lot of crazy stuff, so I didn't get much sleep. And when we started, we got at the topics. I'm like, all right, I'm on fire at the moment. Like, I'm gonna keep going, and I'm like, that's the recipe. Apparently, the recipe is to get almost no sleep before the show, and you'll be good.
It's funny you say that because the other day I didn't sleep. I slept like maybe 3 hours. I felt pretty good, and then that night I crashed and I got like 8 hours of sleep. I woke up the next day and felt like shit. So
Yeah, it's true. It's weird the way it works. I can't figure out the formula yet, but
it's crazy. Listen, go to the Star Drive-In this Sunday or over next this week, and just continue to go there. They are my new sponsor, so I appreciate Erica and her team. And please make sure when you go up to the window and you order, at the time of your order, say, hey, LTL sent me, or just say LTL, and you get 10% off your order. I will be back tomorrow night with Nan and Todd at 6 p.m. We're going to talk about the leaked juror, supposedly in the Karen Reed case, the grand juror. And amongst other things, I think we're going to get into Sean Paul Reyes as well. I'd love to hear their take on that. I think that's going to be an interesting conversation. I want to thank my guest today, not Haley Walbrecht on X, and of course, Jason Broyles. And they can find you at, what's your tag?
HW on your case, and
on
Twitter, and at on your case on YouTube. I just have to say one thing, because you're going to hate this, Brian, but Aiden Carney always gets this thing where they try to call him a blogger to insult him, right? And I say he's a journalist, and one of the mediums that he uses is blogging. And I've told him, he said, I was listening to him when he was on Mike Crawford's show, and he was talking about this. And he said, people have told me to embrace it, and I'm the people, right? So, and then he also brought up something where, we know that sometimes people called you BLT or whatever else. And he brought up that you should embrace it. And I'm here live for the first time proposing that Erica at the Star Drive-In should add to her menu a BLTL.
BLTL.
I just want to throw it out there. I might have to message her, but a BLTL. I think the BLTL is going to be the biggest hit of the summer at the Star Drive-In.
I love it. Yeah. So I think we're going to end here. Final thought. Things are not always what they seem. And I see a lot of stuff. I kind of stay out of the drama, but that's my final thought. Things are not always what they seem to you guys, and you're smart and you're starting to figure it all out. And I get a lot of messages. So I'll leave it at that. My cryptic message.
I'll give a little cryptic message back in response to that, or just a bit of good advice. Things are not always as they seem works in multiple directions. And if you don't see me on my channel saying things about something that I've covered pretty extensively, that means that I'm not ready to say things about things that I've covered pretty extensively. And you should probably take that as your indication that things do not always seem like they seem. So
I support the people that support me, and that's all I got to really say about it. So
amen to that.
That's all I got to say about it. Sometimes you guys are being duped, and that's all I got to say. But anyway, I appreciate everybody sticking around for this episode of the Sunday 617. 2 weeks from now, live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mazza Media is going to join me live in studio, and we're going to have our first time ever live studio audience, and it's going to be fucking phenomenal. We're going to have a pizza party. We're going to hang out. We're going to do a meet and greet, and then we'll take the stage for 2 hours, and we're going to answer questions from the audience. I can't wait to do that. Logistically, it's been a lot for me to line all this up, and I'm excited about it. I hope we can make it happen, and it will be live streamed, so you guys will be able to take part of that as well, and it's going to be cool, and it's not going to be the only one we do. We're going to try to do these once a month and keep trying to grow this station, this programming, this YouTube channel. So I appreciate everybody. Make sure to continue supporting Turtle Boy. He needs our help. We did an awesome fundraiser the other night. We raised over $6,000 for him, and I plan on doing another one maybe once every month. We can try to kick that up for him and give back to the man, because he supports us and supported Karen through all of this, just like all of you. So Jason, thank you again. We're going to head out of here. I'll talk to everybody soon. See you guys tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, 6 p.m. tonight on Brit Happens. Go support Britt and Aiden. It's going to be a great show. All right, everybody, have a great afternoon. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Have a